Hello and welcome. I want to talk in this video about the mentality of the modern female and how female behaviour serves only to damage males, and the tactics that women employ to manipulate men, and how male self-perception is key. For decades, women have been told that they can have whatever they desire, and at the same time that they're victims, and any criticism or observation of female behaviour is seen as sexism. And women are all too aware of this, and they'll use this to their advantage, and we've seen this with female politicians like Julia Gillard. And many suggest that females, they're not cognizant of their behaviour, but this is false. And women know full well that they're trampling on male rights, and they don't care. And yes, feminists, they're just one part of a much bigger political and social problem that hurts men. But to say that the majority of women are ignorant of male suffering is ridiculous. In my experience, the majority of women are very open about bias against males, as opposed to feminists who will openly minimise or disregard this bias. So men who state not all women are like that need to wake up. Men have been conditioned to believe that without a woman, that they're not a real man. But men don't need women. Every role that a woman had that was of any real value to men has been replaced by technology. And all that's left is sex and childbirth. And whatever your opinion on the artificial womb may be, we know the reality of the family court and its bias against fathers. So it isn't a question of slim pickings and finding the right woman. It's a question of what are you prepared to stomach? What are you prepared to overlook or suffer through and risk financially and legally? And the apple is rotten to the core. And what man in his right mind would take a bite? Women have an entitlement mentality and a superiority complex that makes the vast majority of women toxic and repellent. This belief has been reinforced by mass media marketing. Big Daddy government has taken the role of provider and protector, or more rightly, enabler, all at the expense of men. And those men under the belief that traditional relationships can be re-established with women, they're delusional. We're disposable. Women don't want us. In fact, they either resent us or are just completely indifferent to male suffering. And women, they see clearly the inherent benefits with taking that view. I hear men talking about how MGTOW, that it's not a solution to women and relationships, and whether it's a defensive or an offensive tactic. These men say it like they have a choice. You can either submit to the state, or you can live as safely and independently as you can under the current tyranny. And reality is, it's going to get much worse for men. So MGTOW, it is reactive. And whether this is a natural reaction by men can be argued until the sun goes down, but the fact is, women are fully aware and manipulating the system at the expense of men. And many males, they've been integral in shaping this culture of male persecution. While others have just cowered in the corner, unwilling to speak up, essentially aligning with their abuser. But if we look at female behaviour objectively in relation to men, we can see exactly how deliberate and advanced the tactics women use to manipulate men really are. The constant shaming tactics employed by women, even in subtle ways, they create a destabilizing effect on men. And if a man is led to believe that he's not worthy of a woman's love, that he's a loser, that he's inadequate financially or on a social level, his sense of self-worth is going to be eroded. And women, they criticize men constantly for perceived wrongs. He's not receptive enough, or he's not responsive enough to a woman's needs. Whatever a woman can criticize him on, she'll find it. And the male is a recipient of a smear campaign from her and from wider society that casts him as the bad guy. So shame sets in. He can't do anything right. And shaming tactics, they crush a man's self-esteem. And it makes him very susceptible to being manipulated. So the male becomes submissive. Of course, men then perpetuate this cycle by projecting this inner belief onto other men. So now the man's priorities are her priorities. Your needs are irrelevant, and every value and belief you ever had in yourself, they're being diminished for zero return. So a man's dreams and his potential, they go on the scrap heap, which in turn only increases his feelings of shame, his feelings of guilt and loss, and it also makes that man easier to control. I mean, you've seen the look on the face of a middle-aged man, trapped in a dead-end marriage. It's a gaze of a man looking down the barrel of a shotgun. So by this point, the man, he's suffering an identity crisis. The constant messages and shaming, they have him questioning his own judgment and his reality. And by this time, she's made you totally dependent upon her, and solely focused upon pleasing her and gaining her approval. Now, whatever it takes to avoid displeasing her, you'll do it. And we've all seen it, how men become cut off from their social circle and from their family when they begin a relationship with a woman. So isolation, it's a key. It's a key to a woman establishing control, and that man's reality is now dictated by her. And any kindness that a woman bestows on a man at this point is so validating, it makes up for all the shaming and the abuse. Now, at this point, this woman is like Mother Teresa. I mean, she walks on water. So a man experiences false hope. But really, the only pleasure this woman derives is at your expense. And by this point, this woman has no respect for you, as women view a man's attraction and his kindness with contempt. This is female perception. So a man at this point, he'll agree to or say or do anything a woman wants him to, just to stop the shaming tactics and the accusations. So he agrees with her. He agrees with her view of him and with her criticisms. He internalizes the dialogue and views himself with contempt. He sees his own needs as selfish and as depriving her. See, men, they're not scared of women. They're scared of the fact that they have no way of defending themselves against a woman legally or physically. And men won't admit this to themselves due to the shame of not living up to the stereotype of a real man. And in turn, they'll attack any man who gives voice to male issues with the same shaming language they experience internally. And that man is now living with the belief that everything he says, thinks, or does is wrong. And his perception of the world is now seen solely through the eyes of a woman. He's like the sad puppy that's constantly scolded and resented, that still waits in hope of the occasional pat on the head, so his existence will be validated. And what a woman wants, it changes with her whims, so do her perceptions. The only mainstay is that her needs come before a man's, and you can't win. And she keeps raising her expectations while cutting the floor out from under you. And female behavior, it's excused in so many ways, but it's just given a different title, such as bossy. But even with terms that minimize or excuse female behavior, we're now seeing moves to have these words censored. And men, they've been brainwashed into believing that it's normal for a woman to be irrational or even overtly hostile. But it's not normal behaviour. There's a motive behind it, and it's a selfish motive. I mean, when we look objectively at female behaviour in relation to men, we're looking at a whole raft of very calculated and well-rehearsed tactics. And this is about control. And women, I mean, they're either empowered and superior to men, or they're victims of men, depending when it suits them. But the real question is, I mean, why extend chivalry or respect to a woman if she resents you, or is indifferent to you, and to your needs and your suffering? So, just as women need to see life through men's eyes, men need to see a woman's perspective, and then act accordingly. See, men, they project their own values and worldview onto women. Now, even men that have been abused by the system at the hands of women, now they're stuck in a perpetual cycle. You're flitting between denial and bargaining. You know, if only I could just find the right woman. Oh, no, not all women are like that. Now, perhaps Russian women or South American women are better. But no one, whether they're male or female, can offer Norwald as an excuse until female psychology and behaviour have been examined critically and objectively without fear of recrimination and censorship. And there are just far too many examples of females abusing men and children, either directly or via the system. And any man, especially those in the manosphere, who state that we shouldn't be critical of female behaviour on the whole, or that we should restrict our analysis of female behaviour to feminists only, that man's motivations should be questioned. I mean, Frederick Douglass, he stated that to make a contented slave, you have to make a thoughtless one. You corrupt his morality and his mindset to take away his reasoning. A slave has to feel that slavery is right. He also said that to educate a man is to make him unfit to be a slave. But really, I mean, every man, he has to first overcome his own reluctance to accept female perception of him, and then free himself from female judgment for good. And that's a scary prospect, as it means no longer defining himself through the eyes of a woman. But very few men are brave enough to do this. And, I mean, you can shake your head to everything I'm saying, but truly analyze female behaviour and then compare it to your own values and your sense of morality as a man. Women have no regard for male sacrifice. All they have is an expectation. And any questioning of male suffering is given lip service at best. And women see any discussion of male rights as an encroachment on female privilege. And women are fully aware of these privileges that they have over men, and they feel entitled to these. The women drive their own selfish agenda, and politicians pander, and men acquiesce. And men and women, they refuse to accept that female behaviour is destructive. I mean, just ask Casey Anthony. And any perceived threat or encroachment on female entitlement results in more protesting for government expansion and social programs, and you know this, which results in more economic strain and more dependence on government, with men footing the bill. If you challenge a woman with logic, they'll respond with shaming, they'll respond with victim blaming, or they'll assume victim status, and whatever tactics they can to avoid facing the truth. But what a lot of men don't realise is that women view a man's praise and attention as weakness, and she resents him for it. And if she can manipulate you, then you deserve it in her eyes. Now, all she feels in return for your affection is contempt. I see so much focus being placed on feminists and how destructive the agenda of modern feminism is. But what's rarely discussed is why women embrace the ideals of feminism, while often simultaneously rejecting the title of feminist. Women enjoy the benefits feminism affords them at the expense of men. I mean, they're fully aware. And even a traditional woman, they're no different. And you see it, men flock to praise women like this, especially in the manosphere. They tell her, where can I find a woman like you? A traditional woman. But how is she any different to a feminist? A feminist uses government to exploit men. A traditional woman will simply expect him to conform to the role of disposable utility. And some men seem to be under the belief that if women could understand how males are suffering, that they would change their behaviour and their opinion of males. But with all that women have invested in this current system, with all the benefits afforded to them, women will only alter their behaviour when their hand is forced, or if it works in their best interests. Now, society is geared towards elevating women at the expense of men. And women, they can outright reject feminism, yet still reap the rewards. It's ingrained in our social fabric now. Male prejudice is mainstream, and it ain't going anywhere, not for a very long time. So men, they have to trust their own instincts. They have to look at established behaviour patterns of women, and listen to other men's experiences. I mean, these aren't isolated incidents. Men need to understand what they're dealing with, and need to educate other men. Because women, they will not change. Men need to accept this. And once acceptance occurs, then men can judge on their own terms. So, don't ever let yourself be censored or silenced. Speak up, consolidate, support, and move forward. Thank you for your time. Keep on trucking.